Hello and welcome back to the complete jump to that iceberg. I highly recommend watching part 1 because watching it in order is much better, because I'll be referencing a few from part 1 here. Before we get into the iceberg, I want to give some disclaimers that I forgot to add in part 1. There are going to be things on this iceberg later down that are very serious. There will be things like dead players aren't dead or KYS attempting daily chat. Stuff like that I will not be joking around with, so just a warning there. Another thing I want to say is how deep this iceberg truly goes. Electrifying says Iceberg had an ban, which will be talked about later, at the last tier. In this iceberg, it's in tier 6 out of 14, making it above halfway. I also want to say that there will be a playlist where each episode of the iceberg will go, so you can check that out on my homepage here. This iceberg goes neck deep into the community, and I'm excited to continue making this series. So let's begin.
Geometry Dash.
Next up is 2.2 will never come out. This aged poorly because, as I said in the last tier, 2.2 did in fact release. The Impossible game is something I talked about in my What Ifs Part 1 video, where RobTop got inspired to make GD because of the Impossible game. It's also the thing on the side here. The Impossible game is a thing of the past, and while the creator, Fluke Dude, created the Impossible game too, it barely got any attention. Today, the Impossible game and GD are pretty much the cooler Daniel meme. Private servers is talking about how there are private servers for all the updates of the game. They're really cracked versions, however, but the updates are 1.9, 2.1, and 2.2. The 2.2 private servers released a few years before the update actually came out. Demon List is referring to the fact that there's a site called the Pointer Crate Demon List, and basically what it is just ranking the top 150 hardest verified and rated levels in the game. Main List is part of the Demon List, where the main list ranks the top 75 hardest verified and rated levels in the game. The other 75 levels are in a place called the Extended List, which for some reason is not on this iceberg. Legacy List is again referring to the Demon List, where a level has 150 levels that are considered harder than it. The level falls out of the top 150 and goes to a place called the Legacy List, so players can remember its legacy. Crappy levels are levels that are easier versions of popular levels. But what makes crappy levels different from easy levels is that crappy levels are layouts of the actual level, instead of keeping the decoration. There's even a list ranking crappy levels, understandably called, the crappy list, or the TSL for short. GD Awards is an annual event hosted by RobTop and the other moderators where people can vote on the best level, best creator, and best player. You just have to watch the GD Awards videos and you'll understand. Boomlings is another thing I said in the previous tier when talking about RobTop. Boomlings is a simple game that works similar to Candy Crush, where you swipe the same colored boomlings into each other. As I already said, Boomlings is RobTop's most popular game outside of GD. RobTop's Twitter roasts are as the name implies. When RobTop goes onto Twitter, he becomes a savage. Here's an example. RobTop, we waited 6 years for 2.2, just for the main features to get delayed. And then RobTop replied, imagine being your parents waiting 9 months and the end result is you. Skull emoji. Yeah, pretty crazy. Siki has a few videos about this. Novel Boy Bloodlust reaction is referring to when Novel Boy was verified Bloodlust, he died at 97 in July 2017. And to add salt to the wound, he died at 98%, 10 minutes later. The level could have been verified 7 months earlier, but that's not the case. Finally, in February 2018, after over a year of playing the level, several fall deaths, 1,000 hours spent on, and 120,000 attempts, he verified the new top 1, and this is his reaction. In my opinion, this is in the top 10 best reactions in the entire game. It just feels so satisfying for some reason. The Pesta Kino's reaction is another legendary reaction, but this one took 135,000 attempts, 25,000 more than Novel Boy's attempt count. It's a pretty long reaction and it's a roller coaster of emotions. You can look the full thing up in no time. Silent levels is talking about how, unlike crappy levels, which are easier versions of levels, silent levels are near impossible versions of levels. An example being silent processing, being an impossible version of, well, blast processing. This trend has died out, but it's a cool thing to look in the past. Silent Circles is a level created by Cyvillic and Salient in early 2016, and it's an impossible level that no one will ever be good enough to do. This level, much like Death Corridor, has one singular part that makes it completely impossible. Now I'm going to play the whole part, but this is a showcase of what if. This is a hacked video, but it's edited to show that if theoretically we could do this part, this is what it would sound like. This part requires you to do 15 CPS, or clicks per second, which is the fastest clicks a human can do in a single second. But of course, no one will ever verify this. Silent Clubstep is an old impossible level created by the previously mentioned creator, Salient, who created this level over a year before Silent Circles. This level got released in January or February 2015, and people thought for a fact that this was never going to be beaten. But fast forward to July 17, 2022, and a player called Paco verified the level, being verified 91 months after its release. But despite all the infamy this level had, it never got to sit at the #1 spot on the demo list. There's a lot of history surrounding this thing, so if you want the full story, I recommend Samifying's video or Math Genius's video. MegaHack is a cheating software that changes the game in certain ways, depending on what hack you use. Despite the name, MegaHack mostly has non-hacking options, and are actually considered quality of life features that aren't being gained. MegaHack V5 is talking about how, for the first 5 versions of MegaHack, you had to minimize the game to use it. This would get changed after the release of the next MegaHack version. But another reason MegaHack V5 is here is that MegaHack V5 almost didn't come out. The creator Absolute was losing interest in GD and was focusing on Minecraft mods rather than GD. Absolute worked on MegaHack V5 on and off, but wasn't as determined as the previous 4 versions. Mod finally released after 4 months, and to say that it blew up is an understatement. To this day, V5 represents for around 85% of all MegaHack downloads, and got over 750,000 downloads. Before we move on, the final reason V5 is here is that this was the last MegaHack version that we had to have the game minimized, which is good, because now players can play in full screen and have a more immersive experience. But this was also the last MegaHack version before a controversial change. MegaHack paid versions is, as the name implies, versions of MegaHack that aren't free. When MegaHack V6 released, it came with a price of $5, which, although only being a once-off payment, pissed a lot of people off. Thankfully, this controversy died down after a few weeks, and to this day, with MegaHack V8, it's still $5, and will very likely stay that way for the rest of the MegaHack versions. Mobile hacks is something that I only have one example of, which is iCreate Pro.
Alright, so you can do so much shit, bro. You can add a macro. You can space UK on GD Mobile, which is kind of crazy.
Other than that, I don't know what to say more, really. GD on weird devices is another thing that I only have one example for, being GD played on a watch. Aperture players is something I have no clue on, so I have nothing to say about. Steam GD achievements is talking about how Steam only has 120 achievements for GD, even though there are like 500 achievements in game. Raptop's gym is literally just talking about that one image of Raptop in this gym. R/Place is another annual event held in the community, where fans come together in a Reddit to place one pixel on a banner until it's finished. The only rule is that you have to wait 5 minutes after placing a pixel. Smithy777 is a player who has maintained the top spot on the star grinding leaderboards since 2021 and has been given some tough competition in the last couple months from Mr. Spaghetti, the number 2 star grinding player. Hertz is a very complicated thing to explain. If I went over all the details, we'd be here all day. So I'll cut it short. HZ is an acronym for Hertz, and it's how fast your screen refreshes itself. If you have a standard 60Hz device, your device will refresh the screen 60 times a second. Nowadays, a lot of people have 240Hz, which is the highest the game can go, but I'm getting ahead of myself. When Jump Dash was released in 2013, everyone had crappy 60Hz devices, meaning the game was intended for simple, easy playing. Raptop never expected how far players would have pushed this game 11 years ago. The problem arises when you realize that your refresh rate is tied to the game physics. What this means is that if you play on 60Hz like me, you have a big setback, making controlling things like the ship and wave a lot harder. Another thing that's bad is that when on 60Hz, your input will only activate on the next frame. When on 240Hz, your input is almost instantaneous. As I already said, not only is your input delay altered when on different hertz, but so are the game physics. Don't ask me why, I don't get it. And while this was going on, a mod was developed that added more fuel to the fire. FPS is similar to hertz, but not the same. Let's say you have a 60Hz monitor, but you want 240Hz, but that's too expensive. You can buy a mod called FPS Bypass that will trick the game into thinking that you have a 240Hz monitor. This not only fixes your input delay, but also changes the game's physics. When 2.2 released, Raptop made it so that the highest the physics would change was 240 FPS, pretty much fixing the problem. Texture packs are very simple. It's just a mod that alters the game's textures. Minimum/maximum click completions is as the name implies, referring to how players like to see how little and how many clicks they can do in a main level. Uni-Animes is an animation channel that has made a few animations for Geometry Dash, and some of these are really entertaining to watch. Dorabay Basic is talking about an old series where the creator Dorabay would create levels that are, well, basic. The series got super popular and ended on the 12th installment. Swingcopter is the 8th game mode added to Geometry Dash that was added in 2.2, but it has an interesting backstory though. A lot of people assume Red World by Sari and Neptune was the level to inspire the swing, but there's levels before that could have inspired it, but it's unknown what the first level to use the swing was. Raptop birthday is referring to the fact that Raptop's birthday is on the 23rd of February 1987. GD references IRL/in other media is as the name implies, names of things in GD unintentionally being used in the real world. Jump King DLC version GD reference is another thing I have no idea about. If there's something that I don't know that you know, or if there's a mistake I made, please comment it down below and I'll correct myself in the next installment of the series. Secret ways is the first technique of hacking ever occurring in the game. As the name implies, a secret way is a hidden path, usually found at the beginning of a level, that allows you to skip most of the level and breeze to the end. The first known rated level using a secret way is the level BP9, which may or may not at one point been the hardest rated level in the game. This level is also the first known rated level to have been unrated after the discovery of the secret way. Even today, levels still have secret ways in them, whether it be intentional or not. The most liked/disliked comment without being like/dislike botted from what I could find are two examples. The two examples are actually their own points on this iceberg, with the first example being tier 4 and the second example being tier 7. The most liked community post is a wink by Michigan, gaining over 750,000 likes. And the second one is a comment by Raptop saying, "If you like this comment, it'll go up by 10. The most disliked comment, however, is something I cannot find, so if someone can fill me in on that, that'd be great. Popular YouTubers is Let's Plays is talking about how very respected YouTubers like Corey Kenshin and 8-Bit Ryan have played Geometry Dash, which is just mind-baffling to me. Platformer mode is the magnum opus of features added in 2.2. It's one of the biggest changes to ever happen to the game. Platformer mode completely differs from the normal way of playing GD. Normally, you're auto-scrolling, and eventually you reach the end of the level. Platformer mode said, nah, I'd win, and made it so that you can freely move left and right, just like a platformer game. Potball is a nickname for the community shop, and of course, it dropped Top's name backwards.
Oh my god! Wow!
Top Launch's thread is yet another thing I'm not 100% sure about, but what I think it means is that there's a thread somewhere where top levels are ranked. This is thankfully the last entry on this tier that I don't know about. Showcases are a very big trend in this community where when a top level gets released, the creator or showcasing YouTubers like FNM04 will use a mod, usually Zbot, and play the level in practice mode, then save the clicks and run it back, making it look like a normal run. I like this part. Smiley face is a text in the third Ruptop Demon, right before the house ship part or around 60%. There'll be a message saying, quote unquote, I like this part, smiley face. Ship part was cool is talking about how when turning on the setting mentioned in the previous tier, just don't, one of the messages that will pop up when you beat the level is, ship part was cool. Minigame is referring to the fact that when 2.0 released, it was possible to create minigames in Geometry Dash. It was simple car racing games, so they were still pretty cool. Then 2.1 released, and this made it possible to create even more complex minigames. An example being Flappy Bird. They made Flappy Bird in Geometry Dash. Then 2.2 released, and now you can create Minecraft, Nintendo, and Five Nights at Freddy's. FNAF just casually being created inside another game. Slaughterhouse is the former top 1 created by Ice Cave and more. It was originally an old impossible level back in 2015, but Ice Cave hated the original level, so he wanted to create a more creative level. This level would get a complete overhaul and was set to be verified by Doggy, who would drop the level after getting 51%. The player Hack UK, Space UK verified the level in October 2021, and Doggy would be the first victor of the level. That means that he was the first person to beat it after it got verified. But in April 2023, Space UK got exposed for hacking 98% of all his achievements, including Slaughterhouse, which means that Doggy ended up being the actual verified for the level in the end. Zodiac is another former top 1 created by Bionox and more, hacked by Xander, verified by Technical in June 2019. This is another case of the first victor of the level being the verified for the level. r/Geometry Dash is a place in Reddit where people can submit their GD memes for others to see. This subreddit has gotten a reputation for having extremely high standards for memes, but a place that has gotten a reputation for having much lower standards is r/Geometry Dash memes. Womp is an inside joke in the community where in the level Blast Processing, the very first note of the song is a Womp song. Amazing. This is a Time Machine is talking about how in the 8th official level Time Machine, at around 85%, you'll hear a voice in the song saying, this is a time machine. Flappy Bird levels are levels that took inspiration from the game Flappy Bird, but what makes these levels different from the Flappy Bird minigame creations is that the UFO game mode was never inspired from Flappy Bird. When the UFO was added in January 2014, Flappy Bird had not reached its popularity yet, although Flappy Bird existed before the UFO was added. When Flappy Bird blew up, people tried creating Flappy Bird levels in GD, and it was decently accurate. The levels are pretty fun and are good UFO practice. This was pretty much the 1.69 circles trend. NoClip is a hack I previously mentioned when talking about Mega Hack, and it's one of the most well-known ones too. The way NoClip works is that it allows you to go through the hitbox of a spike that normally kills you. And finally, Speed Hack. Speed Hack is another very well-known hack, and it's another hack I mentioned earlier when talking about Mega Hack. As you might already be able to tell by the name, it hacks the speed of the game to your choice. Do you want to speed the game up? No problem. Do you want to slow down so you can cheat like everyone else back in 2014? No problem. And that's tier 2 of the complete Geometry Dash Iceberg. This one was way harder to finish up than the previous tier. Because of how long this one took to do, I'm gonna take a break from this series before I have a burnout. I took 4 days to make the script, so that's why it's my longest script yet. If you enjoyed watching this video, I really appreciate that. I put a lot of thought and effort into my videos, and just having a few hundred or even 1,000 views is enough for me. Knowing that many people go out of their way to watch my silly, simple little videos makes my day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.